And yeah, so that's the reasoning for Epiphany within the text. But what about outside of the text? Because you guys totally did one of the only animations in the whole game at this point. And so, yeah, here it is again, I guess. And so where is this coming from? Like, what kind of things inspired you to create a whole animation scene for Toko like this?
I don't know.
And when does Nadia get a scene like this?
I actually do hope that Nadia, as well as Devin and Gincho, do get a scene like this.
It doesn't have to be a magical girl transformation, but just a wonderful animation just for them.
Yeah. I will say I didn't decide to do this. This was another thing that Tao decided to do and worked with some people on doing. And so he just wanted to do something that was fun and magical girly for this scene. And I think it worked. It looked really cool.
It did look really cool.
And so we have Toko in her demon clothes.
She's basically a witch. She has an implement that she channels her magic through, which in this case is a bass guitar.
Right. And so, also, you'll notice that Toko has her more demonic eyes, right, rather than her more human ones.
Yeah.
And so, she's kind of connecting with that demonic heritage of hers in this scene, and she's using it in a way that she wants to, specifically to protect Nadia. So she's found this kind of purpose for all that power that she has, even though for the most part she didn't actually know that she had that power, even though it's been with her ever since Nadia gave her that piece of paper at the beginning of the story.
So I'm reading this line, and is this the entire reason why Epiphany's form is a bass guitar? Is that?
It's not the entire reason.
Because the bass guitar is the horniest instrument to play?
It's definitely part of the reason.
I mean, I like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any other reasons for Toko's role being a bass guitar?
This was another thing Tao decided, and I don't remember his specific reasoning for it. I think he just really likes bass stuff, so he ran with that.
Yeah, it shows up here too.
And there is, I don't remember if he intended it as a reference, but if you remember correctly, a bass guitar is the preferred weapon of Haruko from Fooly Fooly.
Right, that's right.
Yeah. And so I think that might have been a reference to that at some point, but I don't remember specifically. Also, if you've noticed, since Epiphany, as I talked about before, is that kind of manifestation and personification of desire, if you notice all her text, there's a lot of I want, I need, do you want this, etc., etc.
Oh, wow.
What are you trying to do?
Yeah, and that totally
there's just,
textures.
This heavy focus on that desire.
That's really interesting because Epiphany manifests herself through Toko, so as I was reading it, it definitely felt like Epiphany was the only way for Toko to actually be able to say what she wants. And to be saying that with finality.
Right. And it's also important to remember that it's also true of Nadia, since they are directly sharing a soul. And so, we haven't seen it too much because Nadia is still really confused about this, even more than Toko is, because she hasn't had any kind of training in it. But Nadia, Epiphany is basically just as much Nadia's instrument as it is Toko's. So that's important too, even if Toko is the one who basically does all the summoning of her. And so what will happen with Epiphany and Nadia, that remains to be seen. But there's going to be some stuff that comes up that will be interesting.
I hadn't thought of that. That's really exciting. What can Nadia do with Epiphany? literally or at least metaphorically, because they just haven't had much of a relationship together.
Yeah. We do see it a little bit in this chapter 0, when Toko is trapped by Nemi. Nadia is basically able to connect to Toko through Epiphany.
And so Epiphany winds up for her big attack. And it's just, I just like all of the anime inspiration that you get from this.
This is the first action scene I ever wrote, I think. And so, like, I think a lot of it comes off, like, sometimes it feels like too, if you ever played Dwarf Fortress and read the combat logs from that, a lot of it kind of sounds like that.
Huh.
Which is kind of, yeah, I was playing that game a lot at the time, so it was influential, even if that wasn't the best thing to influence me, but,
I mean, Dwarf Fortress is amazing. Like that's actually a pretty solid place to draw from. And that if you want action,
always the best written. Yeah.
No.
And then I was trying my best to kind of have her the way she attacks be very sudden and direct.
Strike.
Kind of like these like sudden punches.
Strike based.
I was trying to avoid having her do a whole bunch of really fast punches because she's already 99% star platinum. I wanted to try to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, okay. I was waiting for you to say it. I didn't want to say it for you. But yes,
everyone knows.
Epiphany is 99% star platinum from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
In all fairness, I had only seen the first 2 parts when the original version came out. Not true of Tao. I think he had read the manga, so he knew what was going on.
This is extremely popular right now too.
Yes.
During the entire creation of this, it was in a peak. Also, shoutouts to Tao for Davy, who is fucking awesome.
Yeah, Davy is great. I actually haven't thought too much about Davy and what he represents. I focused a lot on Epiphany, but Davy is just kind of there.
Because
he works well with Devin, but I don't.
You
really
and Tao put a lot of the emphasis on Devin or on Davy being this like loose cannon kind of character, and it shows when he starts getting very like aggressive, or once they start getting really aggressive. Davy doesn't have anything. It is very short, clipped phrases, and is this gigantic, cruel-looking drum set. And it turned out really, really well for the very short amount of time that Davy was there. Right. But yeah, no, I think if I were to put, if I don't think that you're like, nah, there wasn't really much there. But Davy represents a lot about what, what's Toko's sister's name? Devin. Davy and Devin. Davy represents a lot about Devin's character because Devin also is like this kind of gothic Lolita that is super aggressive, but wants to imagine that she has a much softer side to her.
Right.
Which Davy literally manifests as. Davy's like, I'm small, I'm sophisticated, but also I'm this extremely aggressive, like, ass kicker. And
it's also, Davy is definitely very servile. He's a butler, at least in his nicer form.
Yep.
And you'll also notice that everything is a puppet that Devin is controlling with invisible puppet strings.
Yes. Which is very literal in its interpretation. She's the puppet master.
Right. So, there's definitely more to her than that too, and she definitely does have Toko's best interests at heart. And like, she knows what she's doing. She is actively setting herself up to lose to Toko, and so she's about to get even willing to get a huge guitar brand on her head. So like, she's really playing this up.
Yep, and I didn't even know. I actually was totally got by that up until she showed up the next day. I wonder. Oh, let's not skip too far ahead, but I know that my next spot I wanted to bring up was this spot right after that. So we somehow she won the fight. She pulled out another victory, and Toko and Nadia get to go to hell. Just like they've always wanted. Nice little vacation down the elevator straight to hell. Which I thought was really lovely.
Unfortunately, like, a few people, when I watched some Let's Plays, they missed the reference. I thought it was like the most obvious reference in the entire game. What floor they stop on? If you've forgotten, it's for 2112.
No, I don't think I recognize that reference.
Rush. It's
Rush!
That
right.
really long album, concept album. That's basically the take on Ayn Rand's Anthem.
That's right. That's where hell gets off at.
Rand is pretty hellish, though.
Yeah. Speaking of hellish, there's the entire band Aaron Yes, and we get a whole bunch of basically just Death Leopard was in there, which was like the least hellish band that I could possibly think of. And
actually, this isn't like her name actually is Death Leopard, but because I read too much manga, I always heard her name as Leopard Death whenever I see that poster.
Yes. Yes. I also read it as Leopard Death because, I mean, just flash it in there one more time. I read the small text, Leopard, and then
if you also
Death.
see their popular song, Look by Love Pump in D minor, that's a Spinal Tap reference.
Yeah, it's a Spinal Tap song. God. I'm just so glad all these are in here. But you also have this also takes us to the band at the end of the game too, who's like the big baddies. Right now we're kind of setting up for the overall plot is that we're doing a battle of the bands. We're doing just like Tenacious D, just like Bill and Ted's the sequel to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Bogus Journey.
The Bogus Journey had the Battle of the Bands at the end where they beat Primus, or Primus won, or someone. Primus showed up.
Yeah. And there's definitely a bit of Brutal Legend in here too, the game that had Jack Black in it.
Yeah.
Basically reprising his role as his Tenacious D character. Let's see. So this scene...
There we are.
Yeah. It's our first time seeing Teen Show and Demon Wear.
Yeah. Did you
I
get
don't
to talk?
Remember if what?
Yeah, go ahead.
I said I don't actually remember if that's the same outfit for Devon. Her demon outfit is pretty similar to her other one, but
she knows what she likes.
So yeah.
She's very sure of herself.
Yeah. This is basically the point where the three of them, like I mentioned, all three of them are family in some way, if literally sisters or not. And we try to make it clear that Toko and Devon have a lot of history and like frustration with each other before this has happened.
Yes, that they're longtime rivals.
Yeah, and so at this point they have to start making up and repairing beyond just what happened last night, because they have a lot of work to do in order to win this contest.
That has just suddenly been put up to us.
Right.
I'm glad that Nadia's here for all of this, because it makes it feel like they're explaining this to her. And so it doesn't feel like we're just being carried through this, like the player themselves are being carried through explaining all this. It's like, thank you, Nadia, for making this less awkward for me.
And she's also like helping Toko out a lot because if you notice, Toko has a tendency to get in fights, and Nadia is a calming influence on Toko a lot. So if she wasn't here, Bellatrix would probably never get her chance at dealing with the Hell on Earth tour.
Right. So Bellatrix really friggin' wants to win this tour and will do anything to do that, yeah?
You could say that.
But
I will say that there's definitely more going on than just the tour. I'm sure everyone has guessed that.
Oh, I mean, look at Bellatrix. She's got schemes on schemes.
Mm-hmm.
But she's just like totally cool with Nadia being in hell, literally. How does that work?
Well, part of it is that like Nadia is important because she is part of the carrier of Epiphany, and Bellatrix is really hopeful that Epiphany is going to do something amazing. So it makes sense for Bellatrix to bring Nadia here, since she needs to get Nadia familiar with the place, and also hopefully use some Nadia to help Toko be more compliant.
Oh, maybe Bellatrix wants to get to know Nadia as for future uses.
Perhaps.
I could see that. It's just very like, again, Nadia being here as we are the player here is just like, hey, Nadia's in hell, so it's cool that we're in hell too, right? Like, everyone's in hell, we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
It just it makes it grounds the metaphysics, right? At the very least, like, all right, hell's not a super hot place that smells of horrible of brimstone and humans can't survive down there. It's like, well, there she is. This is a very understandable place that has very specific politics.
Right.
Like, they want to win a rock and roll competition for the Battle of the Afterlives. The Hell on Earth tour. God. Y'all having so much fun.
It is a fun story. Let's see.
Oh, right. I forgot that Bellatrix runs Limbo also. Like,
yeah.
She's got schemes on schemes. She's running quite a bit of the show down here.
Mm-hmm. But it is important to keep in mind that she's not in charge of all of hell.
No.
And we haven't gotten into what the other two stanzas are in charge of. And that's going to be something important that will come up later.
I'm excited to see where things go from here. I'm sure you're just chomping at the bit to show everyone. I guess we're kind of late in the game to be asking something like this, but what is the release schedule for the next chapter, or next couple chapters even?
We don't know at the moment. We have some other projects that have been delayed for even longer that we feel like we need to do now.
Right.
We do have the first chapter of Toko. It's written out and needs a ton of editing, but it's there.
Cool.
And I can tell you, it's about the first band they fight in the Hell on Earth tour, which is not the band you saw on the poster. It is the band in Middle Circle, and...
Well, you gotta work your way up to Def Leppard.
Yep.
That's a serious rock band right there.